Welcome to our Wednesday segment, AM Business. So on Wednesdays, we'll bring you what is topical in the world of business here on the AM show. That segment is brought to us proudly by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank. Well, from a unified call to review Ghana's Petroleum and Revenue Management Act to warnings against the thin spread of oil revenue to fund infrastructure projects, the Joy Business Town Hall meeting on oil and gas saw speakers drawn from policymakers and civil society suggest thought leadership solutions to issues affecting Ghana's oil and gas sector. Here's a wrap of Monday's event.
One of the major landmarks after Ghana became a member of the elite global crude oil producers is the passage of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, PRMA, in 2011. To, among others, govern the management of petroleum revenue.
We actually recognize that PNDC Law 84 was not fit for purpose. Indeed, subsequent events prove that. You recall the disputes we had with Cosmos. First with the spill of toxic mud in its operational area and our attempt to exact some sanctions from Cosmos. Our PNDC Law 84 did not support it. The disclosure of proprietary data to third parties when Cosmos wanted to sell to ExxonMobil. Again wanted to exact some sanctions. Our PNDC Law 84 didn't support it. There was also the issue of right of pledge refusal. I mentioned that one. There was a spill and then there was proprietary data. All these were not supported by PNDC Law 84. So there was a problem. We needed to change PNDC Law 84. We didn't change it until 2016. How serious are we as a people to get things right? So we started with it, and as of 2010, we were pumping first oil, nothing had happened. It was in 2011 that we passed our first law, which was the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. Again, an illogical sequencing, because it's the production that defines the revenue. So the first law amended PNDC Law 84, which we deemed defective, before touching the PRMA.
The concern prior to the formation of the law was that all revenue could be misused by politicians and could be misapplied in the process of implementation of projects to be funded with oil money.
Making the laws, there is always this philosophy or perception. In some cases, it is real that somebody is going to do wrong. And so the law is made so tight to prevent that person from doing wrong. There is that perception that somebody is going to steal. And so let's make the law to stop the person from stealing. And so the laws we have, haven't gone into the industry and haven't studied the laws and haven't looked at what happens elsewhere in other jurisdictions, I can tell you that truly we have very strong laws in the oil and gas industry.
To a large extent, the law has lived up to expectation by approximately making allocations to the prescribed accounts at the Bank of Ghana. Unfortunately, the National Oil Company, the GNPC, has always been penciled for spending recklessly outside of its core mandate, flouting some aspects of petroleum laws. In 2018, the Public Interest Accountability Committee, PIAC, noted that several projects funded by petroleum revenue through the annual budget funding amount were non-existent and could not be accounted for.
At least 70% of our oil revenue goes into capital expenditure. And if you wish, you can spend the other 30% on recurrent. That is how you lay the basis for a takeoff of the economy. From 2011 to 2016, the government in power complied with this provision. From 2017, suddenly, I'm hearing attempts to misinterpret this provision in the law. Then there was a backtrack. Some will tell you that, okay, investment in education, though it's recurrent, is human capital. So let's reclassify capital investment to include investment in education. Trying to change economic principles to our convenience. So we need some agreement. If we mean capital expenditure as provided in the law, regardless of which political party is in power, it should be capital expenditure.
The consensus was that the public is being shortchanged as there was no visible evidence of oil production, almost 10 years of production. It is against this background that the Joy Business Town Hall meeting on oil and gas sought to identify some solutions to what is fast becoming a resource curse. Various speakers drawn from policymakers, civil society and think tanks, among others, proffered some ideas to overcome challenges affecting Ghana's oil and gas sector. There was a unanimous call to review Ghana's Petroleum and Revenue Management Act. Deputy Energy Minister Dr. Amina Dam tells Joy Business processes are far advanced to audit all companies in the oil and gas sector. But reacting to calls for value for money when it comes to the oil revenues, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam explains this move is to weed out all forms of malfeasance in the sector.
When you sign petroleum agreements and the companies are executing their obligations, that means undertaking petroleum activity, they incur cost. Now, how much cost they incur also determines how much revenue the state will get. And so it is very important for the state to be interested in auditing the cost of the operations of these companies. Several audits have been done at various stages. This time we are doing a more comprehensive audit. And so government has signed a contract with a company to conduct cost and operational audit of all the oil companies that are operating in Ghana, at least those that are doing exploration and those that are producing. That helps us to determine the true cost of their operations and then to enable us evaluate whether the revenues the government has been receiving from them is also a true reflection of what is due us. So this audit is so important for us, and we are not the first country to do that. Nigeria has done such audit, Angola has done such audits, and we also think that we can generate more value for the state if we do the audit. It doesn't mean that we don't trust the companies, but in businesses like this, it is the paper that talks, it is not trust, okay? And so when we do this cost auditing, all of us will be on the same page. Transparency is key so that we both can determine whether what we are taking is what is due us or not.
On his part, the chairman of the Public Interest Accountability Committee, PIAC, Dr. Steve Mantial, reiterated the call for prosecutorial powers and as well as handing sanctions to persons who misuse oil revenue. He pointed out that equipping the act with such prosecutorial powers will help firm up public trust in the sector.
Through the establishment of that additional public oversight body, Ghanaians are getting to know how the resource and the revenue derived from it are being managed in their name. We see a lot of abuses in the use of the petroleum revenues and all that. Going forward, I think what we need to do is to focus on how we made that critical, necessary transition from the disclosures, from the transparency arrangements to accountability. Disappointingly, you find that the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, which is the statute of establishment for PIAC, does not provide sanctions for infractions of the act. And so that in itself does not serve as an incentive for people to comply with the act. Going forward, we want to see a review of the PRMA to provide for sanctions for infractions of the act.
But a former finance minister, Seth Tekbe, who also agreed to a review of the laws governing the oil cash, said he thinks the annual budget funding amount, ABFA component, should rather be reviewed.
I was a deputy minister at the time, and I think that one of the questions that came up was whether the National Oil Company should also be the fiscal agent, which led to the separation of the and the evolution of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act. I believe that my recollection was that the earlier work that was done and others did not make that decision, and the presumption was we were going to go into the regimes where the fiscal agent was not going to be the Ministry of Finance. And I believe that quite apart from the accelerating because exports were going to come, that decision had to make, and probably that was one of the reasons why the PRMA took precedence. And I believe that, as we have said, having an exclusive law for managing the oil resources. We may have problems with efficiency and the rest, but I think it turns out to be the best advisor we ever had from Norway, Trinidad, and even the countries that did not get it right. I think that was one of the advice we got, from them in terms of ring fencing the oil revenue so that you can have, a fiscal regime under the Ministry of Finance.
The issue of efficiency with GNPC's revenue being highlighted. So there's clearly a problem of efficiency as confirmed by the other panelists and other researchers. So that needs to be looked at. Then there's the issue of the expenditures, what we have spent on the annual budget funding amount. Okay, again, in that area as well, the point has been made that the amounts have been spread very thinly. We need to have a strategy, a long-term plan that allows us to spend in a way that harnesses the full potential of the projects so that we can, in the future, look back and say that this is what we did for oil.
The Joy Business Town Hall meeting on the oil and gas sector comes at a time when indigenous oil firm Springfield has begun drilling in its deep water West Cape 3-point Block 2 in the western region.
Well, if you missed this town hall, we've given you a wrap of what went down. Make sure you don't miss the next one. Joy AM Business on the AM show is produced by Joy Business. Is brought to us courtesy EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.